It has been almost a year since the Nigerian government assumed office. Between the inauguration and now, Nigerians have seen new levies, taxes, and fees. And this has left many devastated and wondering how they'll make ends meet. Now, let's examine the details of these duties and the most recent ones, and also look at their impact on citizens. I am Gloria Ayo, and this is Facts of the Matter on Parallel Facts. Stamp duty charges on mortgages. A stamp duty fee of 0.375% will be charged on loans that use mortgages, shares, debentures, or bonds as security. This fee will be calculated based on the value of these items and paid to the Federal Inland Revenue Service. Electricity subsidy removal. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission raised electricity tariffs for high usage consumers, impacting around 15% of the population. This increase, according to the government, aims to lessen the government's financial strain from subsidies, which is currently at $2.6 billion. The new tariff is up from a previous maximum of 68 naira per kilowatt hour. Telecom tax. The Nigerian government may reinstate previously suspended taxes, including a 5% excise duty on telecom services and on electronic money transfer levy. The goal of the loan program, according to reports, is to help the government improve its financial health by effectively managing and gathering local resources. And this brings me to the most recent one, cybersecurity levy. So you may have seen cybersecurity levy trending heavily with Nigerians condemning it. The Central Bank of Nigeria initially directed banks to charge a 0.5% cybersecurity levy on electronic transactions. The House of Representatives demanded an immediate suspension of the levy. Then a suspension was announced by the Nigerian government. I mean, please, by all means, fight cybercrime. But what business does cybersecurity have with people's bank accounts? And while we commend the government for listening to the people, we will also like to request a permanent reversal of this levy. Merely suspending it makes things very unclear. For instance, I just talked about how the government may reinstate previously suspended taxes, the 5% excise duty on telecom services, and an electronic money transfer levy. Exactly. Suspension sometimes comes across as a temporary measure to douse tension because if you really think about it, if they ever bring back the cybersecurity levy, the people may be done complaining and just simply accept it. And it seems we've all been so caught up in this cybersecurity levy drama that we may have overlooked the fact that only recently, yes, and I'm talking while people were fighting the cybersecurity levy, the National Identity Management Commission announced plans to introduce a general multipurpose national identity number card, NIN, that Nigerians will also have to pay for. So what happens to the NIN card that people currently have? Are they going to be rendered useless? But I digress. Truth is, Nigerians are being overtaxed, and now I'm going to tell you why it is not such a great idea. Yes, taxes and levies are important. Without taxes, a government cannot function. Frankly speaking, we need taxes to fund public services, for economic stabilization, for redistribution of wealth, even for national security. Countries that are being run effectively have taxes too. But you see, the difference is that these countries have systems in place that actually work. The wealth isn't being redistributed in that more than half of the populace still live in poverty. How about infrastructure? And I'm not talking about hefty, fancy projects. I'm talking about urgency, infrastructures that are urgently needed. Taxes should be used to promote the well-being of citizens too, but how many Nigerians truly feel safe if we're talking about national security? And how about the randomness of these charges? Like, nobody ever sees them coming. Every day it's like, what's going to be the next charge, right? With the cybersecurity levy, for instance, bank account owners were already dealing with other charges, such as charges on transfers, card maintenance, card issuance, value-added tax, VAT, stamp duties, SMS charge, VAT on that SMS, Outflow and inflow, that is deposits and withdrawals. USSD for those who do transactions in US dollars. That one is 6.98 naira on every transaction. Oh, and don't forget commission on turnover, COT. So after being charged 5 naira for every 1,000 naira, you pay a VAT of about 10%, which means that now you're being charged about 5 naira and 50 kobo for every 1,000 naira you spend. And why is it even called a cybersecurity levy? Well, the government will like you to help fund cybercrime. No, for real. That is simply the explanation for this levy. But the better way to fix Nigeria's economy is not to overtax people. Overtaxing people will not only increase poverty and inequality, it will widen the wealth gap, which makes it even harder for the poor to meet their basic needs and achieve upward mobility. If disposable income is reduced, the amount of money available for essential expenses such as food, healthcare, and education will be reduced. What happens when these get reduced? Quality of life gets weaker. And beyond just the poor being impacted, the economy will experience even more of a slowdown. If the purchasing power gets reduced, consumer spending may decline, and this could ultimately negatively affect businesses and the economy in general. Again, if the government wants people to support it in its renewed hope agenda, this isn't the way to go about it. The more people feel that there is always something to make their life more difficult, the more the dissatisfaction and unrest among the masses because their basic needs are not being met. In fairness to the government, some people feel that a heads up had already been given.
We reduce the purchasing power of the people, we can further slow down the economy. Let's widen the tax net.
But for any society to be stabilized and for any economy to develop, the tax system must be balanced and fair. Society will not be stabilized by just a small fraction of people enjoying palliatives. There is a plethora of issues that should also be focused on to make people's lives easier. Minimum wage, fuel crises, cryptic power supply, security. Let us look more into generating wealth by enhancing production in Nigeria, not by imposing more taxes on people. Please, dear government, let the people breathe.
Let the poor breathe. Don't suffocate them.